If you have a protruding belly or cellulite, then you have dangerous visceral fat around your organs. And that's really a problem because that visceral fat will literally choke blood supply from getting to those organs, and it will release inflammatory compounds that literally poison all the different systems of your body, driving more pain, mental fatigue, as well as fat gain. And in this video, I'm gonna go through a 10-day plan to get your body burning through that dangerous visceral fat so you can have better physique, but more importantly, have more energy, better mental clarity, less inflammation, less pain, and a lower risk of chronic disease. I'm gonna talk about the best foods, the best exercises, and a meal plan over 10 days that will burn through this dangerous belly and liver fat that literally surrounds and chokes off blood supply from your organs. You see, when you have this visceral fat, that fat itself actually releases this compound called interleukin-6. It's an inflammatory cytokine, and it drives up something called C-reactive protein. That C-reactive protein is associated with a higher risk of developing heart disease, cancer, stroke, and neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's and dementia. So we've got to lower CRP, and one way we do that is burning up dangerous visceral fat that surrounds these organ systems. And so today, again, I'm talking about the best foods that you want to consume, the right types of exercises. I'm also going to talk about the importance of getting sun exposure and really good quality sleep. So the first thing you do on this 10-day plan is when you wake up in the morning, you get out and you move your body. Take a 20-minute walk outside, ideally at sunrise. However, for some of you guys, based on your schedule, it may have to be even earlier than sunrise, but if you can do it at sunrise, that is the best time. That's when you have higher amounts of infrared and red light coming from the sun. And that infrared and red light helps set your circadian rhythm so you have great energy during the day and you're able to really sleep well at night. In fact, there's an ancient proverb that says, if you want to have great energy during the day, watch the sunrise. And if you want to sleep well at night, watch the sun set. And that has to do with this red and infrared light. That actually stimulates the mitochondria within your cells. You see, your mitochondria are like this little engine within your cells, and they burn up fat. They actually take fat and they produce cellular energy. The better your mitochondria are, the better you are at fat burning. If you've got excess visceral fat, it's a sign you actually have mitochondrial dysfunction. Your body is not good at burning fat for fuel. You have metabolic damage. And so getting out and taking walks will actually help stimulate the mitochondria, and then especially doing it where you're able to get that sun, that early morning sunrise, getting the infrared and red light will stimulate the mitochondria, help you burn fat more effectively for fuel, help give you more energy, better mental clarity, so you can really perform at your best throughout the day. Now, I also recommend altogether throughout the day, 3 20-minute walks, one around midday. At midday, you're gonna get more UV light. Now, that UV light stimulates vitamin D production, so try to do it where you're able to get a lot of your skin exposed, wear a t-shirt or a tank top or something along those lines, if possible, if the weather permits, so you get as much sun on your skin as possible. That UV light will stimulate vitamin D, which is critical for keeping inflammation under control, for helping you burn fat, for helping balance out your hormones, and balance out your immune system, help support healthy immune function and healthy brain function. But also, vitamin D, or really the UV light, will stimulate nitric oxide production. And that nitric oxide helps to dilate the blood vessels to get more oxygen and nutrients into all the major organ systems of your body. This is especially important if you're somebody that's looking to burn dangerous belly, liver, and visceral fat, because that fat has choked off oxygen and nutrients from getting to the vital organs. So we want to activate more endothelial nitric oxide so we get more blood flow, more nutrients moving into those organ systems so they can really heal and repair themselves. So getting good quality UV light and combining it, stacking it with exercise like walking will help get more oxygen, more nutrients into those vital organs so they can heal and repair. So one midday walk and then one walk in the evening, ideally around sunset. The ancient proverb I said was, if you want to have great energy during the day, watch the sunrise, but also if you want to sleep well at night, watch the sun set. That helps set your circadian rhythm, allows your brain to know, okay, the sun is setting, let's stimulate melatonin, which is your major sleep hormone. You also get more infrared and red light to activate mitochondrial function when you're watching that sun set. So 3 20-minute walks a day. And then you also want to incorporate good quality strength training. We need to really build muscle. Muscle is our organ of longevity because it pulls sugar out of the bloodstream where it actually stores it in the muscle, right? And then also it actually activates and improves our insulin sensitivity so we don't burn fat, and it turns up fat burning. The more muscle, the more baseline muscle you have, the better your body's gonna be at burning fat for fuel. And so doing strength training will help you burn fat all night while you sleep. Now, how are we gonna do this strength training? I recommend workouts that are about 20 to 30 minutes in length, okay? And I recommend doing it 3 to 5 times a week, alternating muscle groups. So one day you would do upper body, you would do push-pull exercises. For example, a push exercise would be like a push press. A pull would be like a row exercise or a pull down where you're actually pulling a bar, right? And that's gonna really help strengthen your upper body. For lower body, I recommend exercises like squats, deadlifts, and lunges, full body kind of exercises that stimulate a lot of muscle fibers. Now, if you've never exercised before, I recommend just starting with your own body weight and doing some squats with your own body weight. You can do lunges, you can do things like a push-up off of a wall, right? You can get an exercise band and do a row, something along those lines. But ideally, getting a gym membership will really help, and working with a trainer who can show you exactly how to set up a workout plan. And they have all kinds of equipment that can be beneficial if you've had a history of injuries and things like that. But you have to be doing strength training. If you're not doing strength training, you're not activating those muscles enough to where they're gonna gobble up all the sugar out of your bloodstream and lower your insulin levels so you can burn fat for fuel. Because you see, if you've got excess liver and belly fat, it's a sign you have insulin resistance. You're metabolically damaged. Your body's secreting a lot of insulin. Insulin is your fat storage hormone. As long as insulin's elevated, you're gonna store fat, you're not gonna burn fat. Exercise, particularly building muscle, helps your body to lower insulin, and now you can burn fat effectively for fuel. So along this 10-day plan, I mean, you can literally burn through this visceral fat in as little as 10 days, but you gotta make sure you're doing this strength training. Now, when we look at meals, right, here's what we want: 2 meals a day, okay? That's really all you need. And you're gonna do 50 or more grams of protein in each one of those meals. So what does 50 grams of protein look like? Well, if you're eating chicken, for example, it's about 8 grams of protein per ounce of chicken. So if we're looking at doing the math to get to 50 grams, you know, if chicken is our only protein at a meal, we're gonna try to get somewhere around 7 grams, 6 to 7 grams of chicken in that meal. If we're doing steak, there's about 7 grams of protein per ounce of steak. So we're gonna do, you know, roughly about 7 ounces of steak in that meal. And that's gonna get us the protein that we need. We're also gonna add in healthy fats. That's gonna be things like, for example, high polyphenol extra virgin olive oil, avocados, grass-fed butter. Of course, you also have healthy fats in the meat that you're consuming, especially if you're eating grass-fed red meat. Ideally, we're doing grass-fed because grass-fed animals have healthier fats. They have more anti-inflammatory fats like omega-3s, conjugated linoleic acid in them, and more compounds like carnitine and carnosine, which actually help turn on fat burning. When we look at grain-fed meat has lower amounts of omega-3s, higher amounts of omega-6s. That's going to cause more inflammation in the body. Also lower amounts of conjugated linoleic acid, carnitine and carnosine. So it's not going to help us burn fat as well as the grass-fed. So ideally we're sticking with grass-fed animal products. Wild-caught fish is another really good source of protein. Pasture-raised eggs, another really good source. Okay, you can also do organic dairy. If you're able to tolerate dairy, things like cottage cheese can be really helpful. Greek yogurt, but ideally trying to get organic, unsweetened forms, right? A lot of times the yogurts, they're loading them up with sugar, so make sure you're getting it unsweetened and organic, because when it comes to dairy, the non-organic dairy oftentimes has pesticides, herbicides, antibiotics in it. All of that can damage your gut and drive up more inflammation in your body. So going as organic as possible, but you're gonna eat 2 meals a day with 50 or more grams of protein in each meal. Now, why so much protein? Well, that protein helps stimulate satiety. That means you feel satiated. And that's going to reduce cravings and hunger. So you're not going to feel hungry throughout the day. You're not going to have cravings for sugar and processed foods. You're just going to feel really satiated and not overly full, but really satisfied in general. You're going to be able to think sharper and cleaner, right? You're going to be able to perform at a higher level, have better energy. And that protein helps stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Now, we also need the exercise, but it's going to help us build muscle. And again, that muscle, the active muscle that we have, stimulates more fat burning. And it also lowers our blood sugar and our insulin levels. And so the protein is critical as well as the exercise for fat burning. Now, in our meals, we talked about the healthy fats, we talked about the protein. Well, we also want colorful fruits and vegetables, okay? And so try to get fruits and vegetables of all different colors in those 2 meals. The more colors, the better. That's going to provide a lot of different, unique polyphenols and different antioxidant compounds and different fibers that support our gut microbiome. So that could be anything from, carrots to cruciferous vegetables to things like arugula, cucumbers, celery, tomatoes, right? All of that stuff can be really, really helpful. Red onions, purple cabbage, right? A lot of different things like that. So you have different colors in your meal, and that's going to be really appetizing to you as well. And it's going to have different smells. I also recommend using herbs, things like basil, oregano, thyme, cinnamon, right? All of those can be really helpful. Rosemary. They smell good, they taste good, and they're called carminatives. That means that they actually help reduce gas formation in your gut. They help to regulate your gut microbiome and support healthy digestion. So all those herbs can be really good. They also stimulate the production of stomach acid, and that helps you digest your meal more effectively. I also recommend adding in 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and water before your meals. So take 1 tablespoon of high quality apple cider vinegar, unfiltered, in water. That apple cider vinegar is rich in something called acetic acid. That acetic acid actually stimulates mitochondrial energy production. So it actually helps strengthen the mitochondria in our gut. Also, that apple cider vinegar stimulates your vagus nerve to produce more stomach acid, bile, and pancreatic enzymes, so you digest your meal more effectively. The better you digest your meal, the less inflammation you have after the meal and the better fat burning you're going to have. So just taking something as simple as 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and about 4 ounces of water before your meal, 5 to 10 minutes before your meal, will actually improve your digestion and stimulate more fat burning with the meal. So it's really simple and easy to do. I also recommend drinking organic mycotoxin-free coffee, a really good quality coffee. Drink that every day, up to maybe 2 to 3 cups a day, depending on how you are at metabolizing caffeine, right? Cut it off by 2 p.m. every single day, so that way it doesn't affect your sleep. But that organic coffee is rich in chlorogenic acid. Now, you want to make sure you're getting either a light roast or a medium roast, because a dark roast will actually get rid of the polyphenols, the chlorogenic acid that's in the organic coffee. So make sure you're getting a light or medium roast, but that is rich in chlorogenic and caffeic acid, which help improve insulin sensitivity and blood sugar stability. So drinking good quality coffee actually helps stimulate fat burning, right? And if you don't do well with coffee, you can do something like green tea or herbal teas like, for example, dandelion tea or ginger tea or licorice root tea or something along those lines. And that can be really helpful as well. The warm beverage itself helps stimulate your vagus nerve. Vagus is Latin for wanderer. It starts in your brainstem, travels down, helps relax your heart, your lungs, helps stimulate digestion, helps stimulate fat burning in your body. Believe it or not, it's actually a relaxation, fat burning nerve. Warm beverages will stimulate that vagus nerve. So it's a really good idea to have a warm beverage you're drinking throughout the day, whether it's coffee or it's green tea or some sort of herbal teas. The only caveat is you don't want caffeine after about 2 p.m. So that way it doesn't keep you up at night and it doesn't affect your sleep. Now, you also want to add in some good bitter herbs, things like arugula. I love arugula because it's low in these dangerous plant compounds called oxalates, but it's also very rich in different nutrients, particularly folic acid, folate, as well as chlorophyll and other B vitamins. Arugula is amazing for your body. I also like ginger. Ginger is one of the best roots for reducing inflammation in your body, reducing pain, and supporting gut health. Things like radishes, parsley, cilantro, all really good for helping stimulate stomach acid production, bile flow, and pancreatic enzymes. Also things like lemon and lime, that kind of acidic nature, great for supporting stomach acid, bile flow, and pancreatic enzymes for really good digestion. Onions and garlic are also really good. They're great as antimicrobials, great immune support. The sulfur compounds in onions and garlic are phenomenal for helping support your immune system. Going back to lemons and limes, they're rich in vitamin C as well as bioflavonoids. The vitamin C and bioflavonoids actually synergize to open up your blood vessels and allow for dilation and more blood flow to get to your vital organs. We talked about we want nitric oxide release. Well, lemons and limes help with that, and they get more oxygen, more nutrients delivered to your vital organs so they can heal and repair. So consuming foods like that on a regular basis can be really, really helpful. So I highly recommend doing that on this plan. That's super key in your meals. Not only do you want your protein, your healthy fats, but you also want some of these bitter herbs in your meals. You can also do fermented foods like, for example, fermented sauerkraut or kimchi or something like pickles. That's all really helpful as well. You can find maybe some of these things at your local farmer's market or health food store, and that's when they're done the right way. They're really fermented, where they're rich in enzymes, probiotics, and these powerful postbiotic compounds that support and strengthen the mitochondria in your gut, reducing intestinal permeability and inflammation in your body. Now, best supplements, here's what I recommend. On this 10-day plan, you don't actually need supplements. I've seen a number of people burn through 10 pounds of visceral fat in as little as 10 days without any supplements. But if you do want to add in some supplements, I like things like berberine. That can be really helpful. Taking 500 milligrams twice a day, for example, of berberine. It's great for improving blood sugar levels as well as insulin sensitivity, which helps you burn fat. Again, the more you lower insulin, the better you're going to be at fat burning. Milk thistle, which is the most powerful herb for liver health, right? Helps regenerate liver cells. Rich in compound silymarin that helps boost glutathione levels and superoxide dismutase levels in the cells. Things like N-acetylcysteine, which boosts glutathione. A good multivitamin with chromium and vanadium, these trace minerals that are important for blood sugar sensitivity and insulin sensitivity. So those are really key. Also things like zinc. Most people are very deficient in zinc, so adding in an extra 10 milligrams of zinc from a good multivitamin is really key for immune balance, right? Very important for immune function. Also very important for hormone balance, balancing estrogen and progesterone levels as well as testosterone levels for a man. Zinc is really key there. Magnesium. About 90% of our society is deficient in magnesium, and it might show up with muscle spasms, with headaches, lower energy, with constipation, with dizziness, right? All different types of things, anxiety, depression. So magnesium can be really key. B vitamins like vitamin B12, B6, folate, vitamin B2, all critical for fat burning. And then fat-soluble nutrients like vitamin D, as well as vitamin A, vitamin E, and vitamin K2, all really important as well. So those can all really help somebody as they're going through this plan to be able to burn fat more effectively for fuel. In fact, if you are overweight, it's more likely you are deficient in things like vitamin D. People that have excess body fat, they need more sun exposure to absorb and utilize vitamin D. They need more vitamin D supplements to raise their vitamin D levels. So if you've been dealing with excess body fat, taking a higher amount of vitamin D, whether it's 5,000, 10,000 international units a day, can be really, really helpful. And take that with magnesium and vitamin K2 for optimal calcium metabolism and optimal absorption. Now again, key things we're focusing on, obviously high protein, healthy fat, diet with bitter herbs and colorful fruits and vegetables, but only eating 2 meals a day. You don't want to snack. Snacking elevates blood sugar and insulin levels. We want to get out, stop snacking, and just really focus on those high protein meals 2 times a day. We want to make sure we're getting sun during the day and optimizing darkness at night. How do we optimize darkness at night? Well, after the sun goes down, we turn off the lights, right? Dim all the lights in your home. Wear blue light blocking glasses. that make everything kind of look orangish. You know, see, when our ancestors, when they were exposed to any sort of light after the sun went down, it would have been through fire. That fire is a red, orangish red light, and that doesn't block melatonin production, whereas the typical lights we have in our homes are blocking. When they're on, they block our melatonin production. So the way that you can simulate being in fire, being around fire, right, as opposed to these strong blue lights from your typical lighting in the house, is to dim the lights, but then also to put on blue light blocking glasses, and that allows for your body to produce the melatonin it needs for really good sleep. You can also obviously have a fireplace, right, where you have fire, and that could also be the way you get light, or put on candles, and that's a really healthy practice as well. But at least dim your lights, put on blue light blocking glasses, limit your exposure to screens and electronics, and if you are on those, make sure that they have the eye.flux on, where they kind of turn the screen more orangish, and then also you got your blue light blocking glasses, and that will help reduce the amount of blue light. That optimizes darkness. That darkness will release more melatonin. Melatonin protects your mitochondria and also activates human growth hormone, HGH. Human growth hormone is your quintessential anti-aging hormone. It helps you burn fat. It helps you build muscle tissue. It helps balance your immune system so you don't have chronic inflammatory activity. It helps improve skin quality and joint health. So darkness is critical for growth hormone production. So we want to optimize darkness with the strategies I talked about to get optimal growth hormone production and stimulation in our body, so we're able to burn fat all night while we sleep. Now we also want to take walks throughout the day, and when we're walking, ideally we're getting sun, but I also recommend practicing something called horizon gazing. What is horizon gazing? It just means looking way out in the horizon. So if there's trees or whatever, you know, like road that you're on, you're looking out as far as you can, and that actually relaxes your brain. You see, our ancestors, if they had to look at something close, it was associated with a potential danger in its environment, in our ancestors' environment, maybe an animal or something like that, and that creates more of a stress response. And we're spending so much time looking at things close to us with screens and all the things we're doing for our work. We want to spend time looking at things way out in the horizon, and that actually relaxes our body, turns us into better fat burners, activates that vagus nerve. It's very calming and relaxing on our body, which allows our body to do more healing during that place. You know, we're either in fight or flight, or we're in healing and repair mode. And so horizon gazing shifts us from a potentially fight or flight into healing and repair. So I recommend doing that while you're walking. And then make sure you're spending time laughing. Laughing is our best medicine, right? Laughter stimulates feel-good neurotransmitters like endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, makes us feel really, really good, calms us, calms our stress hormones. So take time to laugh every day. The best thing to laugh at is ourselves, right? There's things we do every single day that are laughable, right? And having a good sense of humor about yourself is one of the best things you can do in life. And believe it or not, it will actually help improve your metabolic function and your fat burning, just laughing at yourself. Also, on top of that, have positive relationships, right? Whether it's with a spouse, a partner, friends in your life, maybe at your church group or a community organization, or even pets. You can have great positive relationships with all of these things, and that will help your body produce more oxytocin as well as endorphins, which make you feel good, they crush stress hormones, help balance your blood sugar and lower your insulin levels. So that's all critical. And then finally, have an attitude of gratitude. No matter what's happened in your life, the more you can focus on gratitude, the more you relax and calm your brain, calm stress hormone, and that's going to turn up fat burning. It's going to turn up your metabolic rate. It's going to help you burn through this dangerous belly and liver fat, dangerous cellulite, and really give you the best quality of life, the best physique, the best mental health, the best energy, and the best productivity you've ever experienced. So guys, it's as simple as that. In 10 days, you can burn through this dangerous visceral fat and dramatically improve your physique, but also dramatically improve your mind, your emotions, and how you show up in life. So start taking action today.